Dari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girdharadhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanacharim Jamunatira Vanacharim Jamunatira Vanacharim Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Radhanath, Radha Radhanath, Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gaura Hare, Gaura Hare, Gaura Hare, Jaya Gaura Hare. Deta go Haribo, 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 God Haribo, Nitya go. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya. Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Hari. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramamsa Parivraj, Kacharya Stotra Sri Samad. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. ISKCON Founder Charya Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki. Sri Isopanisad ki. Srila Bhaktivedanta Papads ki. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. Those lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnana Timirindasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksharum Malitam Jaina Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunath Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Hevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. Last week we started the Isopanisad, and His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami read from the invocation, and he gave a very, very succinct, eloquent presentation of that. And it's this Isopanisad is one of the under the native Upanishads, Sri Isopanisad, and also Bhagavad Gita is also part of the Upanishad. It's called Gita Upanishad. Now the name for Bhagavad Gita is Gita Upanishad. The word Upaniti, the root of that is sitting in close proximity between disciple and spiritual master. So this is how the knowledge is disseminated. Upaniti, Upanishad. So this is very, very, it says a dissertation of thoroughly researched literature, the Upanishads. Very, very thoroughly researched dissertations. Therefore, sometimes we may find it very, very philosophical. It is very, very philosophical. So today, mantra 1 is the verse we're going to do today. Ishavasham idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena taktena bunjita magrida kasya sviddanam. Everyone can repeat. Ishavasham, by the Lord. Avashyam, controlled. Idam, this. Sarvam, all. Yatkincha, whatever. Jagatyam, within the universe. Jagat, all that is animate or inanimate. Tena, by him. Taktena, set apart as his kota. Bunjitaha, you should accept. Ma, do not. Gridaha, endeavor to gain. Kasya sweat, of anyone else. Dhanam, wealth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Everyone repeat, response. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota. And one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So this is the principle of Ishavasham, the principle of spiritual communism. You heard of material communism, the communistic idea of things. This is spiritual communism. Everything belongs to, not the state, but Isha, which refers to the controller, the owner of everything. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also, very similar synonym verse there is called Bhoktaram Jagya Tapasam. You may be familiar with that verse. Bhoktaram Jagya Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarva Bhutanam Yatva Mam Shantim Richyati. Bhokta. It says, Krishna is saying there that I am the beneficiary. I am the factual beneficiary of all your sacrifices and all your penances. Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam. All your sacrifices, all your penances. And I'm in control of all the demigods and all the planets. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. Surit means I am the well-wisher. Sarva Bhutanam, of all living entities. That's within this creation. That means including the not only human species, but all species of life that are existing within the creation. The Lord is present in the heart. He's in the heart as Paramatma. And He's the well-wishing friend. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. Yatva Mam Shantim Richati. It says one who has factual knowledge of this or has realization of this, he becomes free from the pangs. Yatva Mam Shantim Richati. He becomes free from the pangs of material miseries. So this is the realization we have to come to at some point as human, in the human form of life. If we don't come to that realization, then we'll think, yes, we are controlling, He's controller, and there'll be anarchy. There'll be so many things as we can experience now. There's wars going on. There's so much of troubles and tribulations, all because of this principle of not taking your quota, what's allotted to you. What is your allotted quota? And therefore there's wars, there's so much. Even in 5,000 years ago, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, they were fighting for that control of who will control everything, isn't? And Duryodhana, the arch enemy of the Pandavas, he said, I will not give them a land that they could drive a nail through. I will not give him that much land that they could drive a nail through. What to speak of giving them vast territories. No, that's self-determined. And Srila Prabhupada says when talks fail, then there's war. War is inevitable. Therefore we see throughout the history of, because of politics, so many things are there, that there's war. War is the... It's there. It's inevitable. These things will take place. And we can experience at present day also. It's a fight for land, for resources, for power, isn't it? All because of this principle. This principle of... And people should, if they only take seriously to this principle of Ishavasham, that God is controlling everything. He is the owner of everything. And we simply take our quota. Then there will be peace. Peace will reign. But because of that principle, of violating that principle, then there's dissension, there's miserable. People are miserable. People are, they're exploited. We have the oligarchs. The new oligarchs are those multi-billionaires. They are called oligarchs. And they are owning stinking rich. They don't know what they own. They own some mass of things. And the principle of 1/5 of the world's population is owning 4/5 of the world's resources. So we can see the imbalance is there. And they are controlling everything. The prices of everything, commodities, and therefore there's there's this imbalance. People are going on strikes, they're going on, inflation is there. All is all artificially created by man himself. Man has forgotten who he is and who is God and what's his relationship with God. So this is a punishment. Help us to remember that, to imbibe these qualities or the message of the Isopanisad in terms of understanding it through sambandha. Sambandha means to understand our relationship, understanding our relationship with God. Sambandha, abhideya, the process of how to, when we understand that, and what is the process of engaging in loving devotional service. Sambandha. Then prayojan, the goal is to, what is the goal? Is to go back to Godhead. Sambandha, abhideya, prayojan. And if we examine all our literatures, the Vedic literatures, they sum up in these three divisions. Sambandha, it helps us, Bhagavad Gita helps us to understand our relationship, our position, who we are, isn't? Sambandha. And Krishna speaks of bhakti, devotional service. Bhaktya mama bija, only by the process of can I be understood. Not by any other process. No. Bhaktya mama bijanati. Only by devotional service. So, these literatures help us to come to that point. Veda means not Prabhupada starts its purport by Vedic knowledge is infallible. Why is it infallible? Infallible. Fallible means something that's mundane, that can can perish. Sorry? Khadi, what he's saying? Is it? Not chuta. Achuta. Is that right? Syara, aksara, okay. Fallible, infallible. So the Vedic knowledge, Prabhupada is saying, is infallible. Why is it infallible? Because it comes down through perfect disciplic succession. Through perfect disciplic, and Krishna emphasizes that in Bhagavad Gita, evam parampara praptam. This knowledge is coming down in a disciplic chain from Krishna directly to Brahma, to Narad, to Vyas, like that. It's filtering down to the present acharyas, and right down to Srila Prabhupada, and then to the Prabhupada, disciples of Prabhupada, and then we, the grand disciples. Jai Sri Sri Radharanath Ki Jai. So knowledge coming down means Shabda. Shabda Praman. It's coming down through sound. There's different ways of disseminating knowledge through the experimental process, through the process of the senses, knowledge gathered by the senses. But these have been discounted. They don't give the clear understanding. But knowledge through Shabda, sound, Shabda Praman, coming down through a disciplic, must be a disciplic succession there of spiritual masters, beginning with the Lord Himself. Since He spoke the first word of Vedic knowledge, the source of this knowledge is transcendental. Because we associate the Lord on the transcendental platform, has nothing to do with the mundane world. He leaves that to Brahma, to Lord Shiva, to the other demigods to take care of material affairs. The Lord is always in the spiritual nature. on the transcendental platform. Since he spoke the first word of knowledge, he spoke first to Brahma. In the Bhagavatam, the first verse, the Vyasdev is asserting that Tene Brahma Ride Hari Kavaye. Tene Brahma, he spoke to Brahma, Tene Brahma Rida. Rida means through the heart. Imparted his knowledge through Brahma, through the heart. And Brahma in turn imparted it to Narad like that. And this is how the disciplic succession is going. The words spoken by the Lord are called Apurushaya, which indicates that they are not delivered by any mundane person. Therefore, his knowledge is infallible. Infallible. And it is ever fresh. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. One time he's saying, I spoke to the sun god 120 million years ago. Can you imagine that? He spoke to sun Vivaswan 120 million years ago. That's how vast and how ancient the knowledge of Vedic culture is. And then 5,000 years ago, he spoke Bhagavad Gita again to Arjuna. So the same knowledge is ever fresh. Nava Yovanam Cha. Nava Yovanam. Ever youthful, like Krishna is ever youthful. We don't see a picture of Krishna anywhere like Leonardo da Vinci portrayed him, isn't it? As an old man with a flowing beard. Do we see? No. He's ever youthful, isn't he? He's like a boyhood. Nava Yovanam. Even when he spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna and him were like almost the same age. They were like Krishna, the grandfather already. Arjuna was a grandfather. It's something like 120 years old. But does he look anywhere? Does any picture depicts him as old? No. He still maintained that youthful. So this is God. Satchidananda Vigraha. And as for us, we are mere mortals. We have, at some point, we have this body. When we're 70, you can see, gray hair, I have to hide my hair. I'm gray, wear glasses, walk with a limp. The youth is gone, isn't it? The youth we once had, right? Is no more there. So this is, we are mortals. We cannot become God. God doesn't become God. God is always God. Yes. He's always God. Not by performing some mystic yoga, he became God, or through some process of Astanga yoga, or some became very. No. He always maintained that he's always God. So this is the understanding of that aporosaya. It is not some mundane, spoken by some mundane person. Yes. A living being who lives in a mundane world has 4 defects. Mundane world means this material world is endowed with 4 defects, Srila Prabhupada is saying here. So what is it? Damaged goods. He says these 4 defects are there, that we are, one is certain to commit mistakes. To err is human, isn't it? We know that proverb. To err is human. It's natural to make mistakes. He makes mistakes. And Srila Prabhupada speaks about great leaders who made mistakes. Great, revered leaders who made mistakes and paid a heavy price for that. And Prabhupada speaks of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was a very powerful figure, very very revered, all of India, throughout the world. He's glorified. And he was very much into politics and getting rid of the British out of India. At that time, India was under British. It was colonized by the British. So his whole was to give India independence. He fought for that. But he became so engrossed in politics, he forgot the goal of life. Although it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that he always turned to Bhagavad Gita, but did he take it seriously? He wasn't too. And then he was warned many times. Your life is in danger. Give up this petty politics. Prabhupada wrote him many letters. Give up this petty politics, lest you meet with an inglorious end. But he never took. And of course, there was a attempt on his life the first time, and somehow he got away from that. And the next time, he was warned, don't go to the Sabha, your life is in danger. And then he didn't listen. And then he was assassinated just before independence of India. So he made a mistake. Of course, there's many other great leaders who make mistakes, and sometimes the world has to pay. The whole country, it's collateral damage is there. When wars start between two powerful nations, there's so much collateral damage is there. Innocent people caught in the crossfire. It's called collateral damage. So making mistakes is one defect. The other is subject to illusion. Is subject to, what's the biggest illusion, if I may ask? Yes, thank you. We are not this. The illusion is, we take the body to be the self. We take this body to be right? Every morning we look in the mirror, isn't it? We groom ourselves, and in this naive way we're thinking, yes, I look so nice. But if you ever look nicer and think who you are, ask that question, who am I really? Am I this person? So, illusion. And based on that illusion, on that premise, we go about our life. I'm so-and-so, I'm from this family, I'm from that gotra, isn't? So-and-so's daughter, so-and-so's son, I live in this area. So this is the illusion. We in illusion. Then the cheating propensity. The cheating, we cheat. Anybody can say they didn't tell lies in their life? Yes? At some point we did, it's a petty lie, we spoke lies. Or we pretend like we know everything. Or we pretend, we portray a kind of in that way, we masquerade as in some way, and cheat innocent people. The cheating propensity is there. Cheating propensity. And the last one is called imperfect senses. So these four defects, we have these defects. Imperfect senses, that means we look at the sun and we see the sun and we think it's just a little ball in the sky. Seemingly we can touch it with like this, you can cover it. No, but it's not like that. We read about the nature of the sun, the history of the sun, that it's millions of times bigger than this Earth planet. Isn't? Or if we're in this room and all of a sudden it goes dark. We become dysfunctional, isn't it? For that brief. We're not used to that. We don't have the sense to see in the dark. We don't have that cohesive nature to see in the dark. So or we don't know what's going on outside of here. We cannot hear what's going on. So we have imperfect senses. So endowed with all this, does it disqualify us in any way? To a degree, yes, if we don't make some overture to come out of that defects. And the best recourse is to go to a person who's free from that, is to approach a person who is free from that. And that is the bona fide spiritual master, the guru. The bona fide, not just the guru, because we get so many gurus. We get glam gurus, we get fashion gurus, pundits who talk different things. They are self-styled gurus, cheating gurus. No, we want a guru that gives us the facts, isn't facts of life, to tell you, yes, yes, I'm a rascal. Call a spade a spade. And Guru, by his technique of making us understand sometimes, he has to use that kind of technique to make us come out of the bodily concept of life. To waken us from the bodily concept of life. Jeep jago, wake up. Because our whole life we're sleeping in the lap of the witch called the illusory energy. We're under this illusory energy for so many lifetimes. So now the human form of life is meant to give us some realization that we have to wake up. Jeep jago. Wake up from that slumber of nescience. Nescience means this agyan. Therefore we pray to such a spiritual master. We pray, Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumalitam Jaina Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. He's opening our eyes, taking us from these defects with the torchlight of knowledge. Therefore, I offer my obeisance to such a guru. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangam langayate, yat kripaham tamahan vande, Sri Guru Dina Tarine. That's another beautiful offering to the Guru. It says, by the mercy of the spiritual master, a lame man can walk. A dumb man can speak eloquent poetry. And a blind man can see the stars. This is by the mercy of the spiritual master. By the mercy of the spiritual master. Therefore, to come out of these defects, we have to approach some person who is free from that. A liberated soul. A liberated soul. Nitya Siddha. We have two types of Nitya Baddha. Nitya Baddha was somebody eternally conditioned, eternally in a mundane platform. And the Nitya Siddha was a self-realized soul. So we have to come to that upcoming self. Therefore, this knowledge of Isopanisad is so wonderful. Not just for read, but to assimilate this knowledge and take it to heart, take it seriously. Yeah. No one of these four imperfections can deliver perfect knowledge. The Vedas are not produced by such an imperfect creature. Vedic knowledge was originally imparted by the Lord unto the heart of Brahma. We said that earlier on. Tene Brahma Rede Hari Khavaye. The first created living being was Lord Brahma. And Brahma in his turn disseminated his knowledge to his sons and disciples who have handed it down through history. Since the Lord is Purnam, what is Purnam? The invocation verse was Purnam. Om Purnam Mada Purnam. Is perfect and complete, isn't? All perfect. There is no possibility of his being subjected to the laws of material nature, which he controls. He is not subject to the laws of nature. Krishna is saying, Daivisha Gunamai. This divine energy of mine, that means it's not coming on it. It is divine. Daivisha Gunamahi. However, both the living entities and inanimate objects are controlled by the laws of nature and ultimately by the Lord's potency. This Isopanisad is part of the Yajur Veda, and consequently it contains information concerning the proprietorship of all things existing within the universe. So the 4 Vedas, originally there was the Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and the Atharva Veda. These are all dealing with material, how to become prosperous materially, how to go to the heavenly planets. These are propagating that kind of knowledge, but it doesn't give you the knowledge how to get out the material world. The heavenly planets, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, they are still within the material realm. Although there's heavenly planets, the subterranean planets, and then the middle planet, which is the head planet, they're all within this material universe. So you can pray following these, and go to the heavenly planets and live long. You want long life, you want more beauty, you want more wealth, you want more sense enjoyment. Yeah, by all means, you can perform some jagya and go there. But all this is, everything in the material world is temporary. It has a beginning, it has a end. When it ends, you have to come back here again and start your samsara. So that's not intelligent. That's not intelligence. Intelligence means, learning by our realization, getting realizations of our suffering within this material world, how it is. And Krishna in many ways reminds us, especially in the 8th chapter, about Dukkhalayam, Ashashvatam. This material world is reminding us. Dukkhalayam. Dukh means, what is Sukh? Sukh means happiness. Dukh means miserable happiness. Krishna is saying Dukkhalayam, Ashashvatam is temporary and is miserable. So what he's saying, don't get too involved here. Do what you have to do and get out. Do what you have to do. Come to some realization of this human form of life. Therefore, he sends these revealed scriptures for us to take seriously. Not just to read like some mundane novel, no. This Bhagavad Gita, the Isopanisads, all these books are there to help us, to foster some move, some tangible move, some paradigm shift from this material consciousness, mundane consciousness, and take us out of this material world. And that's the greatest mercy anybody can ask for. How to be delivered from this. That is mercy. Sometimes mercy may come as tough love. Tough love means sometimes the Guru has to minister, sometimes some heavy punishment. Like Lord Shiva, we're doing this Bhagavatam. Lord Shiva, he gave Daksha a very hard time. But that is translated as mercy, and Daksha appreciated that. Daksha went through some kind of transition, and he came to somebody else, yes, and he's praying to Lord Shiva, thank you. Sometimes we need that tough love to make us see clearly. Yes. So the Guru sometimes he gives. Guru means heavy with knowledge. Means heavy with knowledge. Because he cares. If somebody cares about you, then they will tell you straight. Yeah, that's your friend. But if somebody is always praising you, he has some agenda. Don't trust him or such person. They're not your real friend. Real friends will tell you where you're at. Isn't? That is your friend. So, Suridam, Krishna is our real friend. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam of all. He's our friend. He's our well-wisher. And of course, the associates of Krishna, the devotees of the Lord, they also imbibe that same mood. Surit, well-wisher. So we have to be well-wishers of all living entities. When we get the mercy, we have the mercy, then we have to give it to all those conditioned souls who are simply Maya Sukhaya, as Prahlad Maharaj says. Maya Sukhaya. They are simply like cats and dogs they are living. There's one king in the Bhagavatam, 5th canto, King Rishabdev. Very enlightened king. He had 100 sons. And what he told his sons? He said, don't waste your life. Don't get into material life. Don't get into household life. Tapo divyam. Practice divine penance. Tapo divyam. And get out. Now, which father will give that? Normally we have fathers who will encourage us, get a life, get education, immerse us more into, isn't? They think, yeah, that is the goal, to get successful materially, have a big family or get married. But sometimes these may have adverse effects. It's actually a suffering condition. So this king, he said, advise them, don't get into household life. Practice tapo divyam, divine penance, tapo divyam, like that. This is very nicely illustrated in the 5th canto. The Lord's proprietorship over everything within you is confirmed in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord speaks about his inferior energy and the superior energy. Bhumi apo nalo vayu kam. Says these are my separated energies. Binna prakriti. Binna means separated, means they're not conscious. They're not conscious. Like this body is dead matter. You know this? This table is dead matter. It used to be a tree, a beautiful tree, isn't it? Now it's dead, inert matter. Same with his body. It is dead. It's made of this earth, water, fire, bhumi, apo, nalo, vayu, kam. And they combine into 24 elements, like Maharaj was explaining last week, into 24 elements, starting with these 5 gross and 3 subtle. So Krishna speaks about it. These are my binna prakriti. They are not connected to me. They are separated, my separate energies. Then he speaks in the next verse, para apara, of his superior energy, which is the living entity. And who is the living entity? Not the body, the soul. If the soul is not in that body, what happens? That body is dead. So without the presence of the soul, this body is dead. Isn't it? And when a dead body is cremated or whatever, buried, it goes back to as the Christians say, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So it goes back to the elements again. Krishna is saying, but he is the proprietor. And in Bhagavad Gita, emphasize it again. Sarvasya prabhavo. I am the source of both the material and spiritual nature. Everything emanates from me. When he says everything, that means everything within that we can conceive of is created by the Lord. Everything emanates, is the source of everything. I am the source of both the material and spiritual worlds, the phenomenal and the numinous. Everything comes from me. I am the source. So this is knowledge. When we accept like that. Why we accept it? Because the parampara that we so much worship, have faith in, they have faith in. Therefore, we have faith in that. And we know they're not misleading us. The parampara is not misleading us. They're giving us facts. And therefore, that solidifies our faith in that knowledge that Krishna is. Yes, aham sarvasya prabhavo. This is the 10th chapter. This Krishna speaks is in the 8, 9, 10, 11. These 4 verses are known as the Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita. Chatur Shloki. These 4 verses are the essence of Bhagavad Gita, if you came across that. So this first verse, aham sarvasya prabhavo, mata sarvam pravatati. I am the source of both the material and spiritual world. Everything emanates from me. Because the Supreme Being, the Absolute Personal Godhead, is the complete person, He has complete and perfect intelligence to adjust everything by means of His different potencies. The Supreme Being is often compared to a fire, and everything organic and inorganic is compared to the heat and light of that fire. Just as fire distributes energy in the form of heat and light, the Lord displays His energy in different ways. He thus remains the ultimate controller, sustainer, and dictator of everything. He is the possessor of all potencies, the knower of everything, and the benefactor of everyone. He is full of inconceivable opulence. Inconceivable opulence. Power, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. So Parasara Muni was describing the Supreme in this as Bhagavan. What is the definition of Bhagavan? He has these 6 opulences. Beauty, power, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. In full potency. So if you know anybody who has all these potencies, then he is God. If you know anybody, let me know. There may be some person who is wealthy, like I spoke of the oligarchs, but they may be lacking in the brain department or some other department. Or Miss World is one of the beautiful, she's the most beautiful woman in the world, but she may be lacking in other. But when you speak of the Lord, He has full potencies in all these opulence. So this is God. This is God. One should therefore be intelligent enough to know that except for the Lord, no one is a proprietor of anything. One should accept only those things that are set aside by the Lord as His quota. And Prabhupada gives, the cow, for instance, gives milk. But she does not drink that milk. You know this? She eats grass and straw, and the milk is designated as food for human beings. Such is the arrangement of the Lord. Thus we should be satisfied with those things He has kindly set aside for us, and we should always consider to whom those things we possess actually belong. Take, for example, our dwelling, which is made of earth, wood, stone, iron, cement, and so many other materials. Like this building also is made of material elements, isn't it? And they combine with mortar and all that to make it look so beautiful, isn't it? By some expert person who put it all together with some imagination. So who's the source of these things? One time Prabhupada was in a morning walk in Juhu Beach. Prabhupada would often go on morning walks, and sometimes there was some very nice discussion, question and answers. And one time he was speaking to some big industrialist. So he says, "So what do you do?" He says, I manufacture glass. "Oh, you manufacture glass. And To make glass you need sand. So where does the sand come from? And Prabhupada said, you're a thief. So the man was a bit bewildered by all this, he was taken aback. He had good intentions of coming, and he was kind of donor also. So later he met Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I'm not a thief. I give my... And Prabhupada said, okay, you're a small thief. Right, Raghunath? Remember that story? So, all the things, the resources, we, whatever's there, we claim to be ours. Even the house we live in, my house, my land. If somebody puts a fence 1 centimeter on this side, you'll take him to court. There's some libel, isn't? And so much energy goes fighting over something that's you're going to leave anyway. So where's the intelligence for that? Litigation, fighting for things. We see that all the time happening. All petty, wasting energy, wasting time. Something we're not going to inherit anyway. You may work hard for it, but who's some other person who didn't work hard, he's going to enjoy the spoils of that. Yeah. Yeah, so our quota, everyone has a quota. Prabhupada said, speaks about the tiger. The tiger is the bloodthirsty animal. It doesn't come and eat your grains or your milk. No, it knows its quota is to eat flesh. And it gives another, it says, if there's a bag of grain lying on the road, the birds will come, the animal will come, they will eat how much they want and they will go. But a man will come, he'll take the whole bag away and hoard it. So this hoarding is there. We see that very blatantly now because of this war, there's so much of grain is locked, isn't? Tons and billions of tons of grain. Meanwhile, the world is starving. It's only recently they start, So this is selfishness on the part of these leaders. They, people can become collateral. Who cares? They want a power thing, isn't it? But it's the illusion. That is that somebody has to sit down and speak, educate these leaders. Of pursuit. I'll just finish this chapter. Read it off till the end. It is wrong, however, to think that simply by becoming a vegetarian, one can avoid transgressing the laws of nature. Vegetables also have life. And while it is nature's law that one living being is meant to feed on another, for human beings the point is to recognize the Supreme Lord. Thus one should not be proud of being a strict vegetarian. Animals do not have developed consciousness by which to recognize the Lord, but a human being is sufficiently intelligent to take lessons from the Vedic literature and thereby knows how the laws of nature are working and derive profit out of such knowledge. If a man neglects the instruction of the Vedic literature, his life becomes very risky. A human being is therefore required to recognize the authority of the Supreme Lord and become his devotee. He must offer everything for the Lord's service and partake only of the remnants of food offered to the Lord. This will enable him to discharge his duty properly. In Bhagavad Gita 9:26, Prabhupada quotes that very famous verse. 9:26. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Krishna is saying what we should offer him. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Bhakti, would love. Offer me, would love, a leaf. He's speaking in a singular. Not give me lots, he says. A fruit, a leaf, a flower, water. I will accept. But the main ingredient is love. He mentions that word twice, bhakti in that verse, emphasizing the point. The most important ingredient is with love. If somebody would love, offers me this, I will accept. The Lord directly states that He accepts vegetarian food from the hands of a pure devotee. Therefore, a human being should not only become a strict vegetarian, but should also become a devotee of the Lord. Offer the Lord all His food and then partake of such prasadam, or the mercy of God. Only those who act in this way can properly discharge the duties of human life. Those who do not offer the food to the Lord eat nothing but sin and subject themselves to various types of distress, which are the results of sin. This verse in Bhagavad Gita. Yagya sista sina shanto mutshante sarva kilbisai. Everything should be offered as sacrifice. Otherwise it becomes pap. Pap means sin. If you're not offering, then it becomes, you are eating bog. Boga means it's not offered. When food that is bought or anything it's boga. Till when it only becomes prasadam when it is offered with mantras, with love, cooked with love, and offered with mantras to the Lord. Then it becomes prasadam, sanctified food. Prabhupada gives a nice purport in that. He says, prasadam is like an antiseptic. It's like acts as a antiseptic. When you have some virus, so like we had to go and take jabs, isn't? Or when you were small, you had all your polio, and that acted as a antidote. So you don't get this thing. So prasadam acts in the same way. It immunizes us from material affection. This is how Prabhupada words it. It immunizes us against material affection. Yeah. That's the importance of taking prasadam. Yeah. Otherwise, we can boast we are vegetarians. Some people, we're born vegetarians, but still, elephants are also vegetarians. Monkeys, to an extent, they are vegetarians. Isn't? We're not monkeys, we're not elephants. No. We are Krishnatarians. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Isopanisad ki. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Yes? You got a mic?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, as you were speaking, I was just thinking about the four defects and making mistakes. And I thought about Darwin made a big mistake it was just his speculation that this whole world came from a big bang, and the whole world is actually following that, and they're being misled in that way. So, so basically, because he has four defects, he doesn't have perfect knowledge. So, and people are still following him until unless Srila Prabhupada came and he pointed out this mistake or defect in the theory of Darwin, then only we actually understand it.
Yes, it's still a theory. It's Darwin's theory, means it's not proved yet. Still hanging in the air, and scientists are still trying to grapple with that. But we know, we take facts from Bhagavatam speaks the fact, Bhagavad Gita speaks the fact. It's there. And Preetu Prabhu gave away some thought about that. He was speaking about Balaram, Lord Balaram, how is the gravity sensor. Balaram is Ananta Shesh, he's holding the whole Everything's resting on him, isn't it? And some, who was that discovered, so-called discovered gravity, the laws of gravity, was that Isaac Newton. Yeah. Sir Isaac Newton. So he got credited for that. Actually, it already existed, isn't it? Just that some person took credit for it. It's always been there since creation, the laws of gravity, and everything's sustainable. The planets are all in orbit and they are perfect symmetry. But who's giving credit to God? The scientists want to play God. And in their ignorance, or sometime, and Krishna is saying for me, I'm seated in everyone's heart. Sarvasya chayam redi sanivishto. Matas mitir jnanam apa. For me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. From me, it comes from him. So sometimes the Lord, he covers such persons with this. Yes?
Thank you. Thank you, Jaisacinandana Prabhu. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the nature of human beings to take more than is required. So how do we individually determine our quotas and stick to that?
How? Very good. We should set the example of Isopanisad. Take what's your allotted quota, and we should make us see that everything, like I'll come back to your question. When Prabhupada was in America, in the 70s, early 70s, America was at war with Vietnam. And all the people of the younger generation were they didn't want to get involved in the war. And at the same time, the hippies, the anti-establishment, they were against all these things. And Prabhupada, he printed a flyer. He asked them to print a flyer with this verse, Bhaktaram Jagya Tapasam, and give it out, that the Lord, He is the owner of everything. We have to make people aware of that. We have to educate people that everything is owned by God. Like this verse also, when we propagate that consciousness that God owns everything, the more we can reach out to people, especially to the leaders or those in politics and power, like that. And that way we can remind them. Of course, we have to be exemplary ourselves also, in also propagating that. We can't be diplomatic. We can't. We have to give the truth as it is. As it is. So yeah, I would say the more we propagate this knowledge of Ishavasham, of Bhaktaram to the people, and live it ourselves, that we all, whether we're in different cultures and to come together, then we have to show by example that we can coexist together nicely. And this is Prabhupada. This is the real United Nations. And Prabhupada took all his Western disciples. And said, this is the real United Nations. Different. And then, of course, the Bhaktivinoda Thakur he had this foresight one day. When will that day come? About 150 years earlier, he was, meditating on that. He had that foresight. When will that day come when different nations come together, playing cymbals and mridanga, glorifying the Lord? When will that day come? It took Prabhupada to take that further, and he established all these wonderful temples, went all over the world, united everyone, to live under one big house. So we have to, teach by example. We have to somehow tolerate each other. Tolerate, Prabhupada said, tolerate, cooperate. cooperate. Somehow we have to put all our petty differences aside, and look holistically. Give the message. If people see us bickering, and then what will inspire them? How will they get inspired? So we have to set the standard, and ISKCON has that ability to do that. We have that to make inroads into society, into the world, and lead by example. Like Prabhupada was a perfect acharya for that, and we simply have to follow him. We cannot imitate Prabhupada. We cannot, nor can we imitate any of the acharyas, but we can follow